one day and said I can't resist. I really mustn't live. By heck, I'll help to get that Kaiser bill I hear so much about. He passed the test, put out his chest and started into town. It's a long way to Berlin, but we'll get there. Uncle Sam will show the way. Over the lines and across the Rhine, shouting hip hip hooray. We'll sing Yankee Doodle under the linden with some real live Yankee pep. It's a long way to Berlin, but we'll get there, and I'm on my way by heck, by heck. The Russians were Russian, the Prussians, the Prussians were crushing the Russians, the Balkans were balking, and Turkey was walking, Rasputin disputing, and Italy hooting, the Bolsheviks all Bolsheviki. The British were watching the sea, but the good Lord, I'm thanking the Yanks started yanking, and Yank Kaiser flew up a tree. I write these lines to tell you I'm far across the phone. I feel so all alone when I think of you at home. Know how much I miss you and how for you I yearn. You ask me if I know when I return. I cannot tell you where we go from here. And this is all that I can write to give. I may stay away a little longer, a little longer, a little longer. I will stay away. I hope that you'll not keep growing stronger while I'm away from you.
Doing a restoration job, they get flight time. So far it all hasn't been CFI loggable, but that doesn't matter. It still does contribute to their skills if they're going to move forward. And that program, in the last round of 6, 4 of them are going into aviation industries. Pilot, 2 mechanics, one of them who's come back now here and is helping fix something. Let's see. One of them's going into aviation management, airport management. So we now have a more formal approach. Usually the aerodrome produces between 1 and 3 people who go into the industry, since started when they were 14. So, we'll go over there now.
Il y a du monde, hein? Ah ben voilà, il y a un bleu à l'eau là. Il y a un bleu à l'eau. Hello.
Regularly.
Yes, the tiger moth.
It's fairly rare here, and this one did happen to come through Canada
Tiger moth.
to us, and it's been part of the aerodrome since the late 60s. It was Bill King, whose brother was Sir Percy Goodfellow in winter shows, and Bill was just a wonderful man, a good pilot, great restorer, built models to start with. And then when he died, he gave the plane to his son. When he couldn't fly, the plane was then taken over by his son, David King, who until recently was the Eagle Black Bear, and now he's flying just this airplane. He does aerobatic and bombing raids and cut the ribbon and things like that. So this is now multi-generational. And this represents the training planes and the development that then became very quickly surpassed by all of those fabulous World War II fighters. This is where sometimes it's a little slipperier than it looks like, so I'm just going to warn. This is owned also by one of our pilots here. He has a collection of airplanes, and this one he keeps, and he's got a Pecker Cub here as well. He also participates in the Daring Do acts, if you will. And he is one of the people who has flown the Blériot 7.
7.
But not the 11. So that's where I'm wondering if he's here today, whether... He's not always chatty. Sometimes he isn't. This is a replica. This is the Curtiss D. It's the D4. I love this airplane because of the story it tells compared to the Blériot and compared to. I don't have the ability to operate at the moment, but you already understand that those are wing warping.
Yeah.
And there's a whole long story about the Wright brothers, how they got credit for having the first heavier than air, steerable, repeatable, blah, blah, blah. In the United States, we apparently by law have to say it wasn't Alberto Santos Dumont, but the Brazilians are always very quick to go. In the front, you've got an elevator in the back. So we've got your pitch attitude. And we've got your rudder, like everybody else in the world. Rudder. What did not move?
Aileron.
He called them winglets. And in fact, a RIT professor came and said to me they were called balancing planes, as in two-dimensionals, because they were being used experimentally to try to stabilize ships. He was a motorcycle guy. Made into the term.
Oh, yeah.
We also believe that cars were going to be another model for fuel control systems. So instead of the throttle, and in one of the airplanes, the Onryo that we have, you actually operate the throttle with a knee, as you do some other kinds of things. He didn't. He said, let's put the throttle on a gas pedal. So one of these pedals actually does a ground hook to try and slow the airplane down. There's also this friction brake. And he was highly successful and love airplane. That included a fellow who was the local dealer of the new standard, Johnny Miller. Johnny Miller, he was the place to go with your new standard. You're going to land, you're going to fly in, he's going to tweak a little tune up. He's going to try and sell you the next bigger, better model. He'll do what you need, including unload your hooch from Canada. He's one of the great runner airplanes in the Hudson Valley. The Bristol, it's fairly new to us. It's a couple of years now, 3, maybe 2. This was built as a replica for a movie, but then the airplanes didn't appear in the movie. And the last of them that was still in the United States was owned by a fellow who called and said, listen, I don't really want to see this one go overseas too. Why can't you buy it? And so we ended up getting a bunch of people together, getting some money together, bought it, and then volunteers and Mark Mondello, our maintenance young guy, got it flying for that couple seasons. And so it does represent one of the bigger, burlier airplanes.
Yeah, it's a cool big machine, huh?
We do have 2 different Fokker triplanes, DR1. The one that you see in green is owned by Brian Kaufman, who I think is the person that can answer your tech question. And then the one behind it is the aerodromes. And in both cases, when I was growing up, they had rotary, the Fokker DR1 had a rotary engine in it. And my job was to handle the ether, the chocks, and the fire extinguisher. Because it had to fly, so they would ether it to get it going. And of course then, unexpended fuel would sometimes catch fire. So my job was to hand the absolutely enormous fire extinguisher. I like to call it means of destruction, means of salvation. Now they have modern engines in them, partly because it's hard to get the right engine, and partly because it's reliable in Yamaha. You mentioned the SPAD. This is a replica. Some people think it's good, some people think it's better. But that is one of the SPADs. When I was growing up, there was an original SPAD. But that now has made its way to the right path. But you will be back.
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of... More?
Some real life and it's a long way to Berlin, but we'll get there. And I'm on my way by and by. The Russian, the walking, we're talking, early with walking rapid. And it's early, the most of all the bridges were rocking the sea. But the good Lord, I thank you, and
and I had it.
Oh, there he is.
They stopped by our field on his way up here, but I missed him. As the works, I started seeing it up close, but I heard it like. Yeah, it is.
One day and said I can't resist. I really mustn't live. By heck, I'll help to get that Kaiserville I hear so much about. He passed the test, put out his chest and started into town. It's a long way to Berlin, but we'll get there. Uncle Sam will show the way. Over the lines and across the Rhine, shouting hip hip hooray. We'll sing Yankee Doodle under the linden with some real live Yankee pep. It's a long way to Berlin, but we'll get there, and I'm on my way by heck, by heck. The Russians were Russians, the Prussians. The Prussians were Prussians, the Russians. The Balkans were Balkans, Turkey was walking, Rasputin dispute, and Italy hooting, the Bolsheviks all Bolsheviki. The British were watching the feast, but the good Lord, I'm thanking the Yanks started yanking, and yank Kaiserville up a tree.